Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool kind of little realistic glass bowl snow globe kind of thing, just without snow, I guess. I don't really know what it's called, but you can look at it and then you can see it and yeah, it looks cool. So I'm going to be showing you how to make that in this video. So this video will be the first tutorial, I think it's the first tutorial that I've done covering particle systems. So that'll be pretty interesting. Now, first thing I want to say is nothing in this tutorial you need to have extensive knowledge of Blender or anything with. A lot of people, when they hear like particle systems and like making grass and stuff, they instantly think like, oh, I'm gonna need to like sculpt grass myself and stuff. Well, I mean, you do, but the camera will be like far away from the grass, so you don't need it. Anyway, let's just start the tutorial. Okay, so first thing that we're gonna make is the like glass bowl with the glass material. So I'm just gonna delete our default cube here, and I'm going to add a UV sphere, and then I'm gonna go down here to this little menu and turn the segments down to 16 and turn the rings down to 8. So we have this kind of low poly sphere and stuff. Kind of what I did with my light bulb tutorial. Basically same thing as that. Yeah, I think I did a light bulb tutorial. I probably didn't do a light bulb tutorial, and you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's okay. Alright, so once we have this low poly sphere, just come up here and turn the transparency on to where you can see through this whole thing, and then tab in edit mode, deselect everything by double tapping A, and then you'll have this, and then just hit B and just kind of grab this whole thing and delete vertices. Yeah, so you have like a half sphere. Maybe I might go one down. Yeah, just one down, something like this. Then you can turn off transparency and not tab out edit mode. So what we're gonna want to do is make the kind of like bowl shape. So just hold Alt and make sure you're on edge select. You don't have to be an edge select, but I just like it because it's easier. Hold Alt, and then if you select one of these edges, it'll select the whole ring, and then you can just extrude on the Z axis and just bring it down a little bit. Scale it in, bring it down a little bit more, scale it in to where we have this kind of like ball looking thing, this like orb globe thingy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a subdivision surface to make it smooth. So just come over here to your modifiers and add a subdivision surface, and then just crank it up to about 3 and apply and turn on smooth shading. Now we have this globe looking thing. Alright, so now for the material for it. Now this is a good time to switch out of Eevee to cycles, because this is a cycles render, and Eevee doesn't work that well with glass and the way we want this to look, so I'm just gonna use cycles. Alright, so here's what we're gonna want to do. Just go in your materials tab right here and click on new material and change surface from principled to a glass BSDF, and turn the roughness to like 0.1. And if you don't do that, it'll have like kind of like a frosted glass kind of effect on it, which you don't really want. You can't really see anything right now because there's nothing in the scene, but if you have it like turned all the way up or to 0.5 like it usually is, it'll give you like this frosted glass material. So just turn it down to like 0.1. Don't turn it all the way down, otherwise the glass will be too reflective for the scene, and that might be accurate in the real world, but artistically it's not really accurate, and you don't really want that driving focus away from the actual scene, which in this case is like the stuff inside the globe. Now we're going to make the actual plane that our particles are going to be on, and so the way we're going to do that easily is just add a plane, and then once we have this plane, if we go into our modifiers tab and add a subdivision surface, we can see it goes into a more like octagon. I think that's an octagon. It's probably not an octagon, but just say it's an octagon for me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's an octagon. And the more you crank up your subdivisions, the more circular it will be. So I'm just going to put mine at maybe 6, and apply it, and just G and grab it on the Z axis, and just I kind of put it right there. Don't put it all the way at the bottom because the reflection won't be correct. So maybe there. Yeah. Alright, so now that we have this, we can just bring this out a little bit to right here. And so now what we're going to do is we're basically going to set it up to where it tells Blender where we want our particles to, which is going to be the grass, and where we don't want it to be, because I want there to be a river running through right here and grass on both sides with like a tree right here. So the way we're going to do that is with weight painting. So if you go up here where it says object mode and go to weight paint, we can see this turns blue, and basically you can draw on where you want particles to be and where you don't want them to be. So what we're going to do is we're just going to draw on, and the red parts are where all particles are going to be, and it's going to be like concentrated right there. Yellow parts are going to be where it's kind of be, and then like blue, solid blue is where no particles are going to be. So I'm just going to kind of paint around to where kind of makes this like shape in the middle to where it's kind of like a river ish, something like that, to where it's like red on all sides and then just like blue in the middle of it. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is, now that we have that finished up, we're going to make our grass. So the way we're going to do that is with a magical thing called proportional editing. So if we add a plane and just bring it over here, bring it over here, and just scale it down by hitting S, and then I'm just going to scale it out this way until we have a thin strand. I want it to be very, very small. So very small, to me like this. Just scale it down a little bit. Well, you don't have to scale it down. Okay. Something like this. And what we're going to do is tab into edit mode by hitting tab and control R and giving it some loop cuts like this. So now we have this, and what we're going to do now is give it a point by going to vertex select and select these two vertexes and just scale them in on each other. So now we have this little point which is grassy. Then we can go back edge select mode, and I kind of like starting at the middle. And the way we're going to make the grass kind of bend all of it at once is going up here, this little target like dot icon right here, and going to enable. And now we can see that, oops, didn't mean to do that. We can see, well, it's not doing anything right now, but we can see we have the circle. So if we zoom it in like that, and then we come back down, and we can see that, well, that's not really accurate. We see it like brings up more than the vertice itself. So if we just kind of like mess with this, something like that maybe, and then what I'm gonna do actually is just take this face, the last three faces. I'm just going to delete the vertices on those since we don't need them. Okay, and so now we have this grass. Actually, no, I'm not gonna delete those faces. If you did, then you can undo that by Control Z. So now we have this grass blade kind of thing, and RX90, like R on your keyboard, X on your keyboard, and then 90. I'm just gonna scale it in like that, and then what we can do is if we Shift D and RZ 180, we can flip it, and then we will have this. It'll be this. That's what we really want. Then I'm going to tab into editing mode and then just kind of just move it a little bit to where it's not the exact same as the other grass blade. Then I'm basically gonna do that with the other sides like this, and just kind of make this kind of like grassy clump. Basically, it's really all you have to do. Just make a grassy clump. And then Shift D, RZ 180. It doesn't have to be incredibly detailed since you won't really see it a lot. And so now we have this. We have our grass clump, and I'm I'm going to turn on smooth shading for all these. Then I'm going to box select this whole thing and Control J to make it a single object. And then I'm going to give it a new material, and it's just going to be a light green principled material. So we have this grass thing right here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is give this a particle system to put this grass clump that we just made where we painted the weight paint. The way we're going to do that is over here in our particle system. If we click on that and then click on new, and then right now it's at emitter, which is what like regular particles are. But we want hair because we want it to be like emitting like strands. So just turn it on hair, and you can see we have this really wild like Bart Simpson looking hair. So we don't want that. So the way we tell Blender that instead of this like lines and like whatever this is, we want it to be the grass. So if we go into render right here and render as, turn it to object, and then under object, instance object, it should be plane 03, which it is, and you can see it gives us our grass. Now it is in our case already rotated correctly, but if it's not and it's on its side, all you have to do is just go to your original mesh and just rotate it, and these will rotate. See if we if you have object rotation checked, it might mess it up, but or it might not mess it up, it might fix it in your case. But basically right now we don't have what we want, because what we want is all the particles to be over here and nothing to be in the middle. So the way we tell Blender how to use that weight paint is if we go to vertex groups under here and on density, if we just select group, which is our vertex weight paint that we used, we can see that now we have our grass on the sides and nothing in the middle, just like we painted. So I'm gonna give it a lot more grass, and maybe 8,000 grass, maybe a little more. Oops, 1,000. I'm gonna give it a lot of grass because I want it to be like a lot of grass. So we have these, and render. If I turn on scale randomness, and then you can see that it kind of gives it a little bit more. What if I just scale it up? Oops, did not mean to do that. Okay, so if I go back into solid, and I might change, it's like 0.1. Oops, no, you don't want to do that. Don't want to do that either. 0.07. Alright, so that kind of gives us this grassy field kind of look, which is pretty cool. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete this like section right here, so we can have another plane underneath it that is our water. So the easiest way to do that I've found is to tab in edit mode, and then basically just unselect all of it and go to C for circle select, scale it up a little bit, and just kind of drag through this. Oops. If you select the wrong thing, then you can just middle mouse to undo it. And if we hit enter and then delete and then vertices and tap out, we can see that we now have a little bit of it's clear now. So I want to clean it up a little bit, and the way we're going to do that is if we go with this and select the vertices and then circle select again, and we scale it down a little bit, and we kind of just select these edges that were just a little bit sharp, and then we enter and delete the vertices here. You see that we now have this, and what if I give it another subdivision surface? Yeah, subdivision surface kind of rounds it out, which is what we want. So basically now we have this subdivision surface, which is cool. You know, we have this. So now we're going to give the actual plane a dirt material. So the way we're going to do that is we have our plane selected and we split our window over here by going to there's a little plus sign and just dragging it over and going into our shader editor. If we click new and then we have this principled shader. And now what we want is we're going to make a procedural dirt material instead of a actual dirt material. Because that's what I kind of want this to look like. I want it to be a mix of like photorealism, like it's an actual environment, but also make it look like someone made it, like someone put it in the globe. So what we're gonna do is we're going to grab a noise texture and turn the scale up to maybe 45, and detail all the way up. Distortion maybe at like 10. And now if we search for bump, and then we put the color into the height, and then normal into normal. If I did this right, we should see that we now have bump on our ground. Now obviously it's still white. We don't want it to be white. And did I do that right? Yeah, I did that right. Okay. So distortion might even go up a little bit. Okay. So now our material is white. That's because our base color on principle is white. So if we just bring it over here and then bring the color down, we should be able to get a brown texture, which we have, which is cool. You know, we have it. It looks like dirt now and stuff. So now we're gonna make our water, our running water looking thing. So the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna add another plane. Wow, I know, right? So just scale it around this little green line. I forget what axis it is, but it's a green line. Just take my word for it. Okay, so now if we just scale this up to about right, to basically where it covers this, but doesn't like overlap too much. And if you want to, you can like grab this vertex and like just bring this vertex in, and then bring this vertex in. Yeah, something like that. And we have this now, which is pretty cool. So the way we're gonna make our water, okay? So click new, and we have a principled VSDF, and I put it on this like dark blue, kind of like not like dark blue, maybe like that. And also make sure it's under the dirt, like that. Okay, so we have this. Now we're going to basically do the same thing that we did with our dirt by adding a noise texture, a bump. This time the scale is going to be at about maybe 50, detail 16, and color is going to be in height, and normal is going to be in normal. You see that gives us this water texture. Scale might go down to maybe like 35. Yeah, probably 35. Something like that. I'm gonna turn the roughness down a little bit. Something like that. Oops. Turn the roughness down a little bit. Okay, so now we have this, and what we want is little like white kind of like bubbles on it. The way we're gonna do that is just add a diffuse by clicking Shift A and just typing in diffuse. And then we're going to Shift A and add a mix shader and just bring that over here in between principled and material output, and then put the diffuse in the bottom shader, and we can see it mixes them together. And the way we're going to control it is if we Shift A and add a color ramp, and we put our color into color from our noise texture into the FAC of the color ramp, and put the color of the color ramp into the FAC of the mix shader. We can now control how much foam our stream has, which is pretty cool. No, I don't want it to have too much, but something like that. That looks pretty cool. So now we basically have that done, and what we're going to do now is set up our basic lighting. So I'm going to take this like globe thing and just bring it over here to where it completely covers this. You might need to, oops, not delete it. I'm going to size it up just a little bit. So now we can see that we have our thingy in here. I might need to turn the roughness down all the way, actually. Maybe not. Okay. Maybe I need to add a solidify. Yeah, solidify modifier. That's what I need. Okay, so basically, solidify modifier, what it does is basically makes it to where it doesn't look like it's glass all the way through. So that's good. So just add solidify modifier to it. Apply. I'm gonna change the roughness back up to like 0.1. So it doesn't look like it's just like maybe 0.05. We'll see when we get our lighting set up. So I already have an HDRI picked up for this, but I will link it in the description if you guys want to download it. You can use any HDRI for this, but this one I found is pretty cool. So I'm just gonna click environment texture over here on the surface under color and just open up my thingy thing. It's K interior, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so now you can see that we have our lighting and stuff set up. I might need to scale it down a little bit. Nah. So we can see that we have our basic lighting set up and stuff, and it's beginning to look a little, pretty cool, like an actual kind of thing going on. But what you'll soon notice is that when you buy like a snow globe from a store, or like not a snow globe, but like some kind of like environment inside of like a glass bowl or something, you usually don't have the bottom just gone. So you usually have like dirt through here. So way we're gonna do that, way we're gonna make it to where it's just nothing, it's not just nothing down here, is we're gonna add a cylinder, and we're basically just going to bring it down and size it until it fits this like thing, this hole right here. It doesn't have to be super exact, but get it as close as you can. And then what we're gonna do is just scale it down on the z-axis and then bring it up, and then just bring it to where it like touches this, and make sure it doesn't like overlap anything, and it doesn't. So we're good on that. Then I'm just going to go up here and go up here, move this out of the way really quick, and then I'm going to take this, and then I'm going to face select, I'll select these, and if I scale it up stuff, then it should look a little bit better. And then tab out of edit mode and just bring this back over it to where it's like that. So now if we look, we should see that our cylinder is on the thingy, which is good, which is what we want. So we have this, and I'm going to basically just give it the same dirt material that our other thing had, and then I'm going to also shade smooth it to where it's like this. So now we have this, which it looks cool and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the main focal point of the image. Now this looks cool by itself, you know, like it looks decent and stuff, but there's nothing going on. It's just a river with like some grass and stuff. So basically what we're going to add is a tree, just one tree. I know, right? Simple, but yet so artistic. So what we're going to do that is if we go to edit and in preferences, and then we go into our add-ons once this loads. Go into our add-ons. Right here, you'll see add curve sapling tree gen. Make sure that's checked and save preferences. And then if you shift A and go to curve, down here it'll say sapling tree gen. And if you click it, you will get a tree like this. If you don't get a tree like this, see, I don't know it, man. Like, I'm joking. But, pretty sure, I'm trying to find which one this was. Is it small maple? No, it wasn't small maple. This? Okay, so it was, Calistamon, I think. Then we go to leaves. Let me make sure, because the leaves on this are there. Yeah, okay. So, the preset for this tree right here, which is the tree we're going to use, is Calistamon. I think that's how you pronounce it. And so now that we have that, if we, on the settings thing, if we go up to leaves and click show leaves, it gives us these, leaves. Now, the reason I like this tree preset more than other ones is other trees will just give you like these square leaves that you have to manually UV map leaf textures to. But this makes it super easy since it already has the leaf textures and you just have to apply a base color to them, which I think is pretty cool. So, what we're gonna do is I have a bark texture that I will also link in the description if you guys want to download it from CC0 Textures. It's completely free. You guys can just download it. So if I open up that texture right here and just do it like any other texture that I would do any other time, and just texture this tree. You don't need to have it super detailed texture, just some roughness and normal maps and stuff. And then we can see that our tree is indeed textured, so it's good. You won't really see like the whole tree. Well, you'll see the whole tree, but you won't really see like the tree. And so for the leaves, I'm just gonna give it a orange color. So kind of like that, to where it's like that. Yeah, looks pretty cool. I'm gonna turn the roughness down just a little bit, so it's not just completely rough or anything. Alright, so now that we have that, we can grab our tree, just a trunk, and scale it down. And then we can bring the tree into our glass bowl. And basically just have it like right here or something. Make sure it doesn't clip through the glass bowl. And then you can basically just view how it looks right here. I think it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Yeah. So we have that now. Basically, I'm going to add a quick area light. I'm gonna bring it over here, over here, over here. Just kind of have it pointing to where the tree is in the bowl. So over here, maybe. You see if that gives it a little. I know what I'm forgetting. If we go over here into our render settings, right here, this little camera, and go to color management. And on base contrast, to a very high contrast. Now if we delete our camera or our light, we have the cool looking render thing. Now you can always adjust lighting anytime if you want to, but I'm gonna leave it like that for now. So now what we're going to do is, now that we have this finished, we're going to add the background elements. Now, a render is never complete without background elements. Unless you're making, like, I'm also going to set up the camera angle. So the camera angle I want is going to be about right here. Yeah, about right there. Then I'm going to go into my camera settings, and then I'm going to change the focal length, maybe like there. So I'm just going to bring the camera over to the side right here, because usually when you're making renders and stuff like this, you don't want the art, you don't want the main focus of the image to be right in the middle. You want it to be kind of toward the side. It's called like roll of thirds, I think. Maybe, I don't know, but it's basically, it kind of gives it more compositional goodness. So So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale this plane up. Then I also have a texture for this that I'm going to use. So just going to scale it up to like that. I also have a texture that I'm going to use for this, which I believe is, let me make sure this real quick. I believe it's Ward 423, and it is. Okay, so I'm just going to Control T, delete this, and I'm just going to drag mine in since it's easier. Just color into color, and just basically texture it like you would anything else. Just anything else that you'd use. Oops. And if you're wondering how I'm just doing this, I have the texture open on my second monitor, and I'm just dragging it in to Blender. You can do that. I don't know if you can do that in older versions, but you can do it in this version, which makes me happy. Okay, so now roughness. So now if we look at it, we can see that it should be very, very, like, it's very big, which makes our globe look very small, which I don't want. So the way we're going to fix that is we select our plane and tab into edit mode, come over here and go into UV editor, and A over here. The same commands are for this as it is in the viewport, so G to grab it, A to select it, S to scale, R to rotate stuff. So we're just going to S to scale and just bring it up to maybe right there. See how that looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So basically just right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a wall with a wall texture. So if we add a plane and then RX90 and then just bring it back, not too far back, but just kind of like that, and just scale it up. That's actually too close to it. Just scale it up like that. Then I actually want the camera to be more focused like this. Yeah, so we're like that. And let's make sure that our actual focal point is in view, which it is. Okay, so looks good. So now we're going to give the wall a wall texture. We're going to make a procedural wall texture again. You won't really see this wall texture, but it's always good to have it, because you never will just want something like untextured in your render. You always need something to be there, unless you want it to be just plain white. But basically the way we're going to do this is just have a noise texture, color into the height of a bump, and then bump into the normal, and the scale is going to be about 50, detail 16, which is the max, and distortion I'm going to put about 50. So now if we look at it, you shouldn't be able to see. You can. So I'm just going to up it to maybe 100. And so that basically gives, yeah. If I look on my desktop, how did I have this set up before? Alright, so basically I had that. Okay. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make the baseboard for this wall to make it look a little bit more realistic. So I'm just going to add a cube and scale it this way, and then bring it down a little bit, and then bring it this way. I don't want the wall to be completely obscured by this in the render, so I'm just going to bring it to here, and I'm just going to scale it like this. And then I'm just going to add a basic brown material for the baseboard. So make sure that looks good. Let's see if it does. And yeah, I want it to be a little more red though. Yeah, like that. Okay, so now we have that, and so we have this pretty cool looking render so far. But one last final touch that I'm gonna do is I'm going to have this glass ball. I'm gonna duplicate it and just bring it over here. Not completely out of the camera's view, but kind of like over here off in the distance. and I'm just gonna rotate it like this, and then rotate it like this. Then I'm gonna bring it up a little bit, so we have like an extra glass ball back there. I'm actually gonna bring it closer to the camera's view. Yeah, like that. And now what we're gonna do, the last thing I do is depth of field. Now, with this render, depth of field is very kind of important. So the way we're gonna do that is in our camera. If we go down here, this little camera icon in our camera settings, focus object, I'm going to put it on tree to focus on the tree. So I want the tree to be kind of our main focal point of the image. And then under if we look at it right now, we'll be able to see that absolutely nothing happens. So like nothing happens. So the way we fix that is if we turn our aperture size up to about 0.02, we will be able to see that now it's blurred out in the background, which is what we want. It may not seem like it right now. That's just because in the preview it's just kind of like you can kind of see it on the bowl right there, where it's like it's not as sharp as it was before, and then kind of back here you see it's kind of blurred. But yeah, that's basically it for this render. You can always like adjust anything you want, like you can reshape something, or you can like put this somewhere else in the render, or like you can like duplicate these. You can like change lighting setups and stuff. I'm just gonna scale this because it's like at the edge of the camera and it's making me upset. Okay, so that's basically it. That's basically all you really need to know from this for this tutorial. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. I'll respond to you and I'll help you out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to leave a like, and I'm getting close to 100 subscribers, so I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, my name is Viz. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Bye.